So my name is Sammy Flores. I'm sure you guys know this is Coin Church, our first Sunday of every Sunday. And we've been doing this for a while, and like twice a month. And we're in the community center, and now we're here at Magnolia. I always wanted to come here, and yet we're here, and it's exciting. Like, crazy side note, Kelly and I came here. Like, one of my classrooms was right back in this corner. And I know there's even people in this room that have come to this school. And it's just crazy. It's monumental in the course of history that God would know that we would be here one day. And so I'm blown away by today. I'm blown away by this process, by what we're about to start. And it's phenomenal to me. So I'm just so happy you guys are here. Thank you. You know what I was thinking about today and the message and what I wanted to speak to you guys. And I want to bring you on the journey for Coin. You see, we have values that we've brought together months ago. We got together in a room, and honestly, it was like a 12-hour day. And we got like as much as our team as we possibly could, and we just created values. And I want to call like that, like what we're going to embark on in the next couple of weeks are our values, but it's going to be the playbook. It's the playbook to what Coin is, to who we are. And I want to take you along that journey. In the first passage of Scripture, the first title, the first value that I want to take you guys in is beyond the horizon. Beyond the horizon. What does that mean to us? What does that mean for everyone being a part of Coin? If you could dream with me, imagine with me. I'm a dreamer, and I oftentimes like to just imagine, and I try to create spaces in my mind. And maybe if you could just think with me, you're standing on an island, and that island is who you are. That island is your personality. That island is your character. That island is the essence of just where you've come from as a child growing up, the highs and the lows, the moments of your life, pinnacle moments, low moments. The island is yours. And within that island, there's many resources in your life. There's tree, there's bamboo, there's things to create a ship. And the ship is the dream. You see, I truly believe that every person in this room has a dream in your heart. That there's something in the depths of your soul that it's provoking you to do something, be something more, dream big. And there's a dream on your island. And maybe you've created it already. Maybe you've worked hard and sweat and the blood, sweat and tears, and you've got the wood together, and now the ship is in the ocean, on the seashore. And you're standing there, and you're really afraid to let that ship set sail. Because if you do that, then it goes beyond where you're at, the comfort of where you're at, and oftentimes, you have to let a dream set sail before you can ever see it come to fruition. And a dream, by the way, can take years, can take decades. And I picture myself, and picture yourself with me standing on that island and thinking of your dream, that passion, that desire that you have so deep within your soul. For some of you, it's just to be a teacher, a great teacher. My wife's going to school to be a teacher. And maybe being a teacher for your life, that's your dream, to inspire young kids to the point that they can dream big dreams. Maybe your dream is to be a firefighter. Maybe your dream is to save people's lives, be a paramedic and see someone at the cusp of death, and you're able to help them with the tools and the resources because you've gone through the training, but you're able to save a life. Maybe your dream is to plant a church one day. Who knows? Maybe your dream is to be a youth pastor. Maybe your dream is to get an education, to go to school, to be the first person in your family to get a degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD, whatever your dream is. And by the way, it does not matter how old you are. The scripture says in Joel that in the end days that old men will have dreams and young men and women will see visions. You see, I believe it does not matter the age, it does not matter your background, it does not matter where you've come from. Every person in this room has a dream within your soul. And the scriptures point to some amazing reality when you're thinking about a dream, when you're planning for the future. And for us, for Coin, we've called this series our playbook, the playbook. Because as you're standing at the seashore and you see your dream, your ship, all of your hard work, maybe your friends and family are on that ship. Maybe all of your energy has been placed in that ship. Maybe so much finances has been placed in that ship. And you have to be willing to let it set sail. But you know what's interesting is you could stand there in what could seem as days, as months, as years, you can still see your dream on the horizon, right? I don't know if you've ever stood. I love the ocean. I'm blown away by the wonder and the beauty of how in the scriptures, the book of Job, God says, I told the ocean thus far and no further. But the ocean, the shore, is a point of new beginning, but it's also a point of the unknown. You see, in the scriptures, when you ever read the sea, there's both a literal and not so much of a literal. When you're looking and reading about the sea, you see the sea, if you could go into ancient time, it was depicted as something incredibly scary, unknown to a sailor, right? All these stories and these monsters and these huge whales that could eat people alive and could demolish an entire ship. It was so incredibly unknown, and to us it's unknown. There's been moments in my life where, for some reason, God takes me to the sea whenever I am thinking about something big. And I like to go at night because I like the eerie feeling of hearing the waves and the silence and the calm. And although your soul is filled with so much chaos because of the dream, you're thinking, you're planning, you're dreaming, you're praying. Maybe your dream is just so that you can have a better life. Maybe your dream is so that you could just be a good mom. Maybe you've never had a father and your dream is to be the best father that you could possibly be. And in the chaos, I've gone, the quiet of the night, 2, 3 in the morning, and I've stood on the seashore and I've looked out into the ocean, and it's so scary. It's so unknown. And when you let your dream set sail, you might not ever see it come back. You have no idea when you set it free, when you set it sail, when you let it go, what the return will be. But if you stand there long enough, right, it begins to disappear. And for all those that believe that there's a flat earth, I was doing some research and it blew my mind away for those that believe there's a flat earth. You see, if you're standing at the seashore and you're staring at your dream, the horizon, you're looking at a boat, what begins to happen? It begins to disappear from the bottom up, right? The bottom of your dream, the bottom, the very lowest part of your dream begins to disappear. And then you see the middle of the boat, and then you could barely see the sail and the tip of it, and it is so far yonder. But I was looking and doing some research, and it's pretty simple. If you get to the highest point of a mountain by the shore, if you get to the highest point where the shore is, where you've seen your boat pass, and it's like disappeared, if you just climb a little bit more, if you just work a little bit harder, if you dream a little bit more, and maybe that mountain is a friend, maybe that mountain is a person, maybe that mountain is a resource to you that you had no idea that would be there. For example, side note, when I came to this school, Kelly and I, we came here, it was awesome. I saw her for the first time. By her beauty, I was captivated. And then I got into high school, and it was at Chino High School, a man by the name of Mr. McCain was the athletic director. And I was thinking and dreaming, and I'd drive by this school, and I'd say, God, that's the school we're going to be at. I want to be at that school. And you call me crazy, but I'd speak to this school. I'd say, we're going to be in you one day. We're going to be in you. By God's favor, we're going to be at that school. And unbeknownst to me, I remember I was looking on the page, and I noticed that Mr. McCain, who was the athletic director at Chino High, was now the principal. And I kind of knew him because I was a part of water polo, and water polo is really small. And I'd have to go talk to him at times. We'd go in the weight room. Our coach would let him mingle with he was the coach too of the football team. And I remember Kelly and I came in here and I said, we want to talk to Mr. McCain. And he remembered us. He said, I remember you guys. You see, maybe There's resources out there that's a mountaintop for you to be able to see a different vantage point. But on your island, if your boat sets sail, you can't see it no more. All you have to do is climb a little bit higher, and now you can see your boat again. That's like, it's starting to disappear like this, though, for all you flat earth people. That's why the bottom of the boat disappears. The middle of the boat disappears. The top of the boat disappears. I want to read you guys a scripture in the passage of Ecclesiastes. Standing on your island, sending off your dream. The ship is your dream. It says this. Ecclesiastes 11, 1 through 6. I don't know if it's up there. Yeah. Ship your grain across the sea. Remember, sea equals fear and unknown. After many days, you may receive a return. And by the way, I know this is theologically inaccurate, but this is just how I read the scriptures. When I'm reading a passage of scripture that jumps up at me, I put sometimes my own circumstance in the passage. I don't care where you're at theologically. It helps. It speaks to the depths of your soul. So for this one, I know it's not accurate theologically, so don't quote me on that. I like to put, I've done this oftentimes when I've read this, ship your grain. Right there, a grain, I put ship your dream. Ship your dream across the sea, because the grain to them was finances. The grain to them was treasure. The grain to them was their dream, because that treasure was going to build something for them. After many days, you may receive a return. There's no promise. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Now Solomon, this man, gets really practical who wrote this. If clouds are full of water, they pour rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. So what's the warning? Maybe you have a dream in your life, and it's ready to be set sail. And it's just chilling in the boat, or in the shore right in front of you, because you're so focused on the circumstances that you have no control of. You might be so focused on the fear of the unknown. If you step out, if you make a declaration to move forward, if you were just to go to that school and apply, if you were just to talk to that girl, talk to that guy, whatever your dream may be, you might be captivated by it because of the fear of the unknown, because the wind's just going to come. The sea's just going to roar. As you do not know the path of the wind or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. Sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle. Really practical. Like, work hard. If you have a dream, I promise you, it probably won't come to fruition unless you work hard at it. It can be in the invisible in your own heart, soul, and mind, but until you begin to put it on paper, until it begins to come to life. And yet when it's there and it's present, and maybe you've worked so hard at it, and you're shoveling through the soil. For the farmers, for those that worked hard, Solomon's saying something really practical. Sow your seed in the morning and expect, or at least hope, pray that your hands would not grow idle, because you're going to reap something. For you do not know which will succeed, whether this or whether that or whether both will do equally well. You see, you all have a dream. And you have to be willing to ship your dream. Let your dream set sail. Let it go into the horizon. There's a passage in scriptures in 2 Corinthians. It says, so fix your eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. I don't know about you, but I feel like there are so many dreamers in this room. We all have a dream, right? But the problem is we become so idle to that dream. And maybe you just don't have the eyes to see what is eternal. I can tell you right now, a litmus test to your dream. If someone was to give you your dream, if God was to place that dream into reality right now, wherever you're at in life, however old or however young, however in between you are, if God was to give you your dream, your personal dream, the dream you think of before you go to bed, that dream that pops up in your heart, whatever it may be, is that dream for yourself or for others? Because I can promise you, God will not get behind something that is self-centered. God is for others. Jesus was for the many. Jesus was for all of humanity. Jesus was for all of the world. He wasn't just for 5 or 6 or for a few. That's why, I don't know if you guys know this, but when I see things in the unseen, there is an entire room. Like, this is a really big room. And I'm just being ambitious and audacious. Sometimes you have to be. But when I close my eyes, I dream of the day that we can take these curtains down because this room will grow. But I have to see it. It's not for me. It's not for Kelly. It's for the city of Chino, Ontario, Montclair, Pomona, Chino Hills, Diamond Bar, the surrounding cities. And I'm so incredibly passionate because I see things not as they are, but as they could be. I pray so much that God would give me a faith that I'd have to close my eyes because it's too big. The scripture says to walk by faith, not by sight. And as like a young 25, turning 26 soon, like I'm beginning to learn if I just close my eyes, if I could see it. If I could see myself doing it, if I could see that person broken come to life, if I could see that person depressed, thinking of suicidal thoughts, coming back to a hope and a reality that is far beyond themselves, life and joy and peace would be surrounded within their soul. If I could just see that person that is so alone, find a friend, find someone who loves them. But I close my eyes and I have to see it. Do you see your dream? When you close your eyes, is it for yourself or is it for others? Because the scriptures make it pretty clear. We fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. The premise of that scripture, Paul is writing to a church. And they're so incredibly filled with hope for the future. But yet they found this faith that is deep within them, you see, because there was these 12 disciples and many thousands of people in the time of Jesus of Nazareth where he actually walked, where he actually performed miracles, where he actually walked upon water. And it's in history, I promise. Go to your local library, look it up. And these people, these disciples, they saw it. It was right in front of them. They saw the crucifixion. There are documented accounts, eyewitness accounts of Jesus coming back to life. The tomb rolled over. There was no more body in that broken, hopeless tomb of death. And yet it was seen. It was seen. It was seen. They could see it. It was in front of them. It was in front of them. And Paul knows exactly what he's saying to this church. To us. He's saying you cannot see Jesus. He's invisible. He's deep within the soul of who you are. He's all around you, but you have to have eyes to see him. You see, faith can be 2 ways. Faith in the future, 2 ways. Faith of hope, faith to believe that there's good days ahead. Faith to believe that whatever the doctors say, we can pray, we can rally around as a community and pray that God would move and bring a miracle. Faith that would hope in a brighter day, a brighter tomorrow. Faith that would hope and pray for people to fill this room up, not because of any person or popularity for a church, but because people are desperately looking for a place to call home and a place of hope. That's one side of faith. There's also another side of faith, and it's in fear. It's terror towards the future. So you can have 2 faiths. Oh, I'm so excited about tomorrow. I have faith in what is unseen. I have faith that if I go to school long enough, if I show up, I take the test, I do the work, one day I'm going to walk and I'm going to get that degree. I have faith to see myself on that stage. But you can also have faith of a very horrible, broken, tragic, terrorizing future. And that is still faith because you still believe in it. I want to be a part of a type of community. The playbook to which Coin will live, and I'm sure it's going to grow, I'm sure it's going to change, is to look beyond the horizon to what is unseen. And we might have to muster up a little bit of strength. We might have to rally up and encourage a couple people because we're bummed because we ordered some drapes and they forgot a couple pins and we were super stressed out and we had to figure it out. But we can get around and we can encourage people. We can excite people and say, Sammy, Will, James, Julian, Marky, there's a better day tomorrow. There's a better promise tomorrow. We cannot see it, but it's unknown. It's beyond the horizon, so we have to hope for a better tomorrow. And that's a part of the playbook to which Coin will live and breathe upon this city and beyond. We're going to look beyond the horizon. We have a sub-point that we came with, a group of, if you were part of that team, like that set that up, could you just raise your hand? I just want to see you. Remember we set those values up? Could you raise your hand? We were in there, we were trying to figure out a cool, catchy term. And I wrote this down because it's so cool. Beyond the horizon, we look at things not as they are. We look at things in the unseen, but as they can be. Dream big, risk often, and think ahead. Jesus had a dream, and he let it set sail with his disciples in it. Jesus came, and let me explain this to you. He was fully God, and yet fully man. I know that's hard to comprehend. It's a work in process. There's revelation that has to come to understand that. Fully man, but yet fully God. A man still needs to have a dream. Isn't it interesting that the creator of the universe would take himself off the throne of creation, come to be one of us, a man that saw birds when he was a little boy, got excited, had to go to the bathroom, the creator of the universe, had to go through life, and yet Jesus had a dream. And we can all learn from Jesus' example. His dream was big. His dream had full amount of risk. And his dream was filled beyond the horizon to think ahead. He had a plan that if he could just rally up 12 people, 12 best friends, if he could just spend 3 years with them and provoke their hearts, his dream was to go to all the nations to preach the gospel, to give the good news of his life, that hope can be restored in the broken heart. That because of our pain, we do not have to live in the death of our past, in the grave of our past, but we can break free from our grave and set it on fire, set our past on fire to look beyond the horizon. And Jesus, with his 12, said, I'm calling you to more. It's filled with risk and wonder. It's going to beckon you to more. Are you willing to risk? Are you willing to dream? And there were those that stepped foot in his dream. And today in America, we get to hear the good news of Jesus. Here, April 28th, 2019, thousands of years later. His dream was simple. Go and preach the gospel, the good news to all nations. Big dream. That's the world. And today, thousands upon thousands of people, millions of people are hearing the good news because of 12 people, but one person who had a dream big enough for himself. Your dream has to be bigger than yourself. It has to be for others. It's interesting. This is not I don't even know how to say this without sounding bad. So bear with me. I'm not trying to judge, honestly. I work in an environment where I get to be around billionaires, honestly. I get to do valet for people that have so much incredible money. And if your dream is only to get money, I promise you, there is a life that you can have everything. Scripture says, what good is a man to gain the whole world, all the riches, but yet to lose his soul at the end of the day? The book of Ecclesiastes, bear with yourself if you read it. It's really easy. Just put it on the audio, let it talk to you. I do that in the car sometimes. It's really quick. It took me 30 minutes to read the whole book of Ecclesiastes. Solomon was going to be king, young, Solomon. His father, David. Many of us know the name David. He's the king of the Israelites, the king that has built his empire off of being the man after God's own heart. People still love the name David, especially for the Jews. And David had a son named Solomon, and Solomon was getting ready. His father was about to die, and Solomon was so incredibly afraid of the task ahead to become king over Israel. And Solomon was so incredibly afraid, and the scripture says that God comes to him and says, Solomon, you can have anything you want in this world. I will make it all easy for you. What is it that you want, Solomon? And Solomon said, it's not about me. It's not about me. I just want wisdom, God. I need wisdom in order to build this empire, in order to do what you've called me to do. My dream is not for me, God. It's for others. And God says, Solomon, I will give you wisdom. Not only that, but I will give you riches and gold and silver. I will make your name proud and popular among all nations. And sure enough, that's Solomon. At the greatest pinnacle of the history of Israel was King Solomon. Had all the riches, all the palm trees, all the tigers and the lions and the elephants came to Israel. People from all nations, Egyptians, pharaohs came to King Solomon for wisdom. Look it up, it's in the history book, the secular one, not just the Bible. And Solomon said, God, it's not for myself, it's for others. But yet Solomon still got riches. I'm not trying to preach like, hey, if you have a dream for riches, God's going to give it to you. But he wants to see your heart. Solomon said you can have all the money in the world, and it's all vanity if you've done nothing eternal with it. I was, yesterday, I had Kelly I was like, Kelly, do you want to drive and see that car? It was a Bugatti. I'd never seen a Bugatti before. We drive Ferraris and Lamborghinis and really cool cars that have there's only 5 of them in the world. But this one was special. I could hear it coming, and it was cherry red. I'm not a car guy. But I was in awe of this Bugatti. And it came up, and he wouldn't even let us park it. Of course not. Sir, you can park it right here in the best spot. It's yours. And I don't know if he rented it. I don't know if he was trying to show off with his girlfriend or his wife. I don't know his story. But he had... I looked it up. I was like, how much in the world are these cars? the base, just the beginning, the lowest dollar amount, $1.7 million. And I think this one was a little bit higher up. And I thought to myself, man, that is awesome. I don't think there's anything wrong with gaining riches and gold. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It matters what you do with it, though. It matters your heart posture within it. It matters if you're going to store up riches for yourself or for others, because when it's all gone, you can't take it with you. So the dream that we have here at Coin is to build up riches for eternity so that we can see each other in eternity. Though we don't know what it looks like, it is unseen to us. But to make an imprint on the course of history. Jesus had a dream. I want to read you this. The team can come up. I'm almost done. It says this in the book of Matthew. Jesus was with his disciples. I love this passage so much. I want to read it to you. It says this. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side. He just performed a very incredible, miraculous miracle. Thousands of fish and bread were bestowed upon people with just a little basket. No one knew how possible it was, but Jesus did it. He said, go, and they touched it and it multiplied, and they touched it and it multiplied. And thousands of people were given food to see this crazy miracle take place. And Jesus would often go and pray after he would do this crazy stuff. And his disciples, he said, go into the Sea of Galilee. It wasn't a sea, it was a lake. Go into the Sea of Galilee, the lake, and I'll meet you on the other side. Just performing this miracle, it says, immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side. While he dismissed the crowd, then he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone. and the boat was already a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake, defying gravity. When the disciples saw him walk on the lake, they were terrified. Would you not be? It's a ghost, they said. Because the clouds and the dew of the morning, they could not see through the fog. He looked and appeared as though a ghost walking beyond the horizon. They said and cried out in fear, it's a ghost. But Jesus immediately said to them, take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid. Lord, if it's you, Peter said, tell me to come to you on the other side into the water. Come, he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? And when they climbed in the boat, the wind died down. And then those who were in the boat worshiped him, saying, truly, you are the Son of God. The only thing that is crazy to me is that Peter was the only one willing to take a risk. Peter, like, there's a ghost out there possible. They're all incredibly terrified by what is in front of them. And then they see Jesus. I would still be in terror. Like, what is happening right now? I cannot believe that Jesus is walking. How is he doing that? They didn't fully believe he was God yet. He just performed this miracle and they were blown away. But then there was one guy out of the 12 that said, Jesus, can I come and walk with you on that water? Like, if you're out there, can I come to you? And Jesus said one simple word, come. Come on, Peter. Wherever you're at in life, he's saying, come. What's your dream? What's your story? Where is the deepest part of your soul that is broken and needs a mend? The only person that can mend that is the one who created your soul. And he's saying, come walk and defy gravity with me. But Jesus had to touch the fish to grow it. You can't do it on your own. You can get the riches, get that Bugatti, have that house on the ocean. Like, I want all those things. That's awesome. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, that would be so cool to have like a house by the beach. Like, what's wrong with thinking that? But yet I think back and I say, God, I just want to know what you're calling me to. And I truly believe that it has to be centered on others instead of yourself. And God cannot multiply. He will not get behind a dream unless he is in it and unless he touches it. Come, he says, Peter, and let me show you what it's like on this side of the boat. You know what I found out in my young years of life? That this is so scary. Man, Kelly and I had no idea, but I saw it, and I dreamed about it, and I prayed, and I spoke to the dream, and I saw the dream, and I said, I'm going to do it. Whatever it takes, I'm going to do it, God. I'm going to do it even 50 people show up for the rest of my life. I don't care. I'm going to do it. God is calling me. He's beckoning me. He's wooing me. Come, Sammy. Come, and he's calling you. He's calling you. Whatever your dream is, let it call you. Let Jesus, to the depths of who your soul is, let him call you into the unknown. I don't know about you, but the scripture I read, all of his disciples, all of them never lived in mediocrity. No, I can't find it. Show it to me. His disciples that he lived with for 3 years went to change the course of history because of a come. Filled with risk, filled with terror into the sea of the unknown. But yet they had the courage to say, I'm going to walk, I'm going to hear the voice of Jesus, the Messiah, and I'm just going to walk toward him. I'm going to let him change my heart from the inside out. Maybe it's not crazy like like starting a church. Maybe it's just finding peace. He says, come into the unknown. You see, Coin Church will dream big, risk often, and think ahead. A church for all people. We're gonna dream big here. Like, I'm just a dreamer. I'm just a visionary. That's just a part of who I am. I've learned to grasp onto my strengths and find people that have better strengths than I that are my weaknesses. And that's why there's a team. There's no Sammy here. I can't stand to think that, oh, that's that church Sammy. It's the pastor. No, it's not just Sammy. Please, don't spread that word. It's people here that have built this brick by brick and stone by stone, and we're just getting started, and the foundation is Jesus. We're gonna dream big. I have a dream to have like many different houses. I don't know, I wanna go to Riverside, I wanna go to Eastvale, I wanna go to different parts of cities and raise up leaders that are in this room that could dream and have a dream in their heart to go and to reach people for the gospel, not to gain, not for themselves, but for others. A church with a dream to reach Chino and beyond. A church that will risk and that will be like Peter. This is the dream. A church that will think ahead and be okay with change. My brother, he had this, he told me something, it terrified me, but yet there was a moment in my life that was so pinnacle for me. Has there ever been like someone that just spoken something into your life? They had no idea the implications it would have upon like your thought process. It just twists, it changed something. There's innovation that comes. And I'll never forget, I was going into the unknown, into the horizon. I had no idea what was in Springfield, Missouri. And my brother Paul was with me in the car. I just said bye to my family and friends, and I was crying. And we were beyond Yucaipa and like way out there past Hesperia through the mountains. And I remember I was crying, like an 18-year-old crying. I was weeping. I was like, gosh, it's so hard, Paul. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. It's just so scary. And he said, Sammy, change is good. It's good. I know we can get so accustomed to like same. We're going to be a part of a church that's innovative. So I hope you're like okay with change. We're going to be innovative. We're going to change things up. You might come in next week. I don't know. We might change the chairs up. We might come in. We got to figure things out. We might expand the room. We might change the light color. You have to be okay with change. Because in order to dream big, you have to be okay with there being a little bit of change. I want to be a part of a church that is not just an institution. I'm tired of programs, though I know it's important. People are more important than programs. I want to be a part of a church that is a movement and not an institution. A movement that people would come and get excited to be a part of. And that's the type of church that we see. Beyond the horizon, risky, big dreams, thinking ahead. And we're just getting started. We're gonna transition into the last song. And I want you guys to know, like, this is just the beginning. It's so exciting. I don't know where you're at in this room. I have no idea the circumstances in your life, the reality that you're living in. But there might be people in this room that do not know Jesus. Maybe you just have a thought of him. Maybe you could care less about him wherever you're at. If you could feel and sense in your soul this beckoning, the Spirit of God is in this room and there's freedom. He heals the brokenhearted. Maybe you can just hear just a quiet, still come. I want to pray for you. If you're at a place in your life when you're like, man, I want to take another step towards God. Maybe I want to dream bigger. I want to have enough courage to actually dream about my future. Because I'm afraid to put that down payment down. I'm afraid to step into that reality. I'm afraid to actually have my ship in front of me to let it set sail. I'm just afraid of stepping into this whole faith thing. I have no idea what it comes down to. I have no idea if it's a cult. I have no idea what it looks like. But wherever you're at, if you just feel a small, still voice saying, come into the open waters where it's unknown. If that's you, if you just close your eyes with me, just for a second. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can stare at me. But I want to pray for people in this room. If you're here and you just want to give your life to Jesus, maybe you've never done that. If you're here and you want to take a step towards faith, maybe you've never done that. If you're here and you have a dream, like so incredibly exploding with your soul, and you just want to step out and need prayer for that, would you just raise your hand? And like, not for me to see, but for God to see, like, so that I could pray for you, so that I could dream with you. If that's you, could you just raise your hand? Raise your hand so I can see. Raise your hand so I can see. I see your hand. I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna pray for you. I want to pray for you. God, I just come before you right now. I thank you so much, Jesus, for people in this room that do not know you. God, for people that desire to dream big dreams, God, to have big dreams, to think ahead, to risk often. God, that you would compel them to step out of the boat and to defy gravity and walk into the impossible, because you are the possible, God. That they would step into the unknown, Jesus. To look beyond the horizon in their life, God. Be with them, Jesus, as we step into this new phase of the playbook of this church, of a monumental day for history. God, I pray that you'd be with them, comfort them, that they'd be a part of something greater than themselves. I pray for every hand, God, every dream, every broken heart, every desire to know more of you, that love would invade their soul, hope would break into their despair, that you would show them love in this moment. In your name we pray. Amen.